Call a meeting to order at 7:04. We will stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You remain standing and Jim will give us our invocation.
Lord Father in heaven, thank you for this beautiful weather we've been enjoying, for this opportunity to meet and do the town's business. We ask you, Lord, to guide all that we do this evening, and we ask this in faith. Amen.
Okay. Sandy, could you please read the roll?
Councilman Vivaldi,
Here.
Councilman Jackaruso,
Here.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora. Here. Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, present. And also present is our attorney Gerard Parisi. Call the Princetown regular town board meeting is called to order at 7:05 now. We dispense with those of the floor since no one's here. The meeting is still closed to the public. Department committee reports. Did Nick have anything for us? I don't think he
I
did.
don't think so.
Nothing from our highway department. And we had from our water commissioner. Let's see, gallons pumped, looks like 2,064,100. Maximum daily average, 128,200. Minimum daily average, 66,600. Gallons pumped, 1,409,300. Maximum daily average, 91,000. Minimum daily average, 45,451. That was in 2019. Water main breaks, we had June 5th, Gifford Church Road. Fire hydrant repair, June 8th, Route 20. June 8th, Gifford Church Road. Fire hydrant repair, we finished inspection of all fire hydrants in the system. They are now easily able to hook up to all hydrants are back in service. During our routine maintenance and service, we discovered that the booster pump station on Darrell Road was in dire need of a complete overhaul. I have included pictures of the station before our renovation, and you can see clearly the condition it was in. Wes and I agreed that it was better to be proactive and schedule the repairs that were needed rather than wait and have an emergency situation occur. If this station had gone down, then it would have taken us 3 weeks to get the parts needed to repair it. All of the piping for the booster pumps had to be custom made and professionally welded on site. We installed new pumps, and the expansion tank was increased from 10 gallons to 40 gallons. We had both motors rebuilt. A new variable speed drive for motor control was also installed. Due to the fact that this booster pump station is placed underground, we use stainless steel fittings which should hold up longer under these conditions. That was from Clark Collins, our water commissioner. When they installed this system over here, I think it was, what was the name of the farmer there? Jennings.
That was Jennings.
Jennings. He didn't want an above-ground pump station over there, and the town decided to go to please him and go
It should have
underground.
been above,
It certainly should have been above,
because it's all water in the bottom.
yes. And that's what caused the pumps to fail, and I think that pump station probably ended up costing us $20,000 to $25,000.
Was that on his property?
Pardon?
Was that on his property, Jenny?
No, it's on the road, but he didn't want to look at the pump house for some strange reason, I don't know. We weren't involved at the time, but while we're on this over here, we've spent, I just signed checks roughly about, Sandy, was it about 60,000 this month?
No, it's 39,000 total.
Well, how much?
39,000.
39,000?
Total abstract, yeah.
And we haven't gotten the repairs yet for the pump house. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, we haven't gotten a bill from Marta yet for any of the breaks either.
Yeah, and the 3 water main breaks on Pangburn Road, so we haven't had them either. So we're getting up there. I talked with Isla today. She says we got roughly $80,000 left. We'll be collecting the rates for they'll be reading the meters, and I don't know approximately how much money we're gonna get from that, but, at the rate we're going, we're gonna be spending all of the 50,000 that the county gave us is gonna be gone, that's for sure. Plus what we've been dipping into our, the rest of our funds. We're gonna have to be looking at, and that storage tank over on Reuter Drive is probably gonna cost us, I don't know, upwards of $75,000 when we ever get around to repairing it. They're keeping the water below the leak, so I'm thinking, and I've talked with Jim about this, that maybe we should be looking at securing some kind of a load at a lower interest rate as they are now, and maybe we can, if we ever have to dip into it, we would be able to use that money. Hoping we don't have to, but at the rate we're going over here with this, the water department, I guess Larner gave us a price to replace the line on Route 7, which is the one that causes all of the water main breaks in front of Rick's. And I think he said it was around 75,000 to replace it from, I don't know if it was from the Rotterdam line up to it, but there's where we're getting a lot of our breaks. We've had 10 water main breaks now in the last year, since last fall, plus the pump house. So we keep getting these water main breaks. I forwarded the email to everybody about what Doug Cole said about it. It was too late when this was brought up years ago, long before I was on the town board, and I think probably before Doug was, when they started first having trouble with the water systems, that it was too late to go back on the contractor that installed it. But at the rate
It
we're
wasn't
going,
a contractor, it was the engineering, McDonald Engineering. They're the ones that specified the bolts.
no, I'm talking about the pump, the holes in the pipes too.
Yeah, that's there too, but McDonald Engineering was the one that specified the bolts. And the bolts are breaking, and the thing was, they were supposed to put stone around a pipe and sand on top of it. And when you dig up a break, it's the material they dug out of the ditch, and there's rocks this big to this big.
Yeah.
And that's what's breaking the pipe. Though there was supposed to be, McDonald Engineering was supposed to have a clerk of the works on the job. He must have got paid off because it never happened.
Well, that's the problem we have, so, you know, we can only deal with what we have now. Can't go back on anybody for it, so I don't know. At the rate we're going with these repairs, this is not even winter. Usually when you get these water main breaks, it's the frost in the ground and the pipes moving and that kind of thing, but this is summertime now.
Now, in regards to all this, Lou asked me to contact our bond agent because we were chatting together and thinking that we needed to come up with some way to either save money by reducing our interest rate or even possibly go out and bond a little bit more. Well, anyway, I had a meeting with them, and the story here, unfortunately, is our bonds are callable. You have to call a bond before you can rewrite it. The problem is there's 5 more years left before we can even call it. So in other words, when the contract was written that you can't call this bond before 2025. We can't call it. We have the right to call it in 2025, but we can't call it today in 2020. If that were not the case, you know, conceivably we could call the bond, rewrite it, maybe save 1.5%. I don't know, interest rates are very low right now. My guess is we'd probably save 1.5 points, maybe 2. Unfortunately, that option is not available to us. As Lou also discussed, and we talked about possibly getting an LOC from one of the banks, line of credit, because at the rate we're going, we could get in the jackpot. We can't say to anybody if there's a water main break, well, you know, as soon as we get the money, we'll fix it. We have to do things in a timely manner. So that may be the easiest, simplest option, and we may unfortunately have to do that. So we'll talk amongst the board and discuss it.
We might add that you can't use the rest of the funds the water system has to be self-supporting. In other words, all of the people in the district support that. You can't ask people from the north end that don't have water to support the water district. So the water districts, as they are right now, have to be self-supporting. Whatever revenue we take in from them goes to pay for the water system. And with the problems we're having with it, you know, we've talked about trying to expand the system. You know, I'm told over here, you start pushing more water through this system, what it's gonna entail, and how long will the system last. I don't know what to say other than it was installed wrong, and other than going through and redoing the whole system, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it on a break-by-break thing. But these are only temporary patches they're putting on, am I right, Doug? They're just,
Yep. All they do is put a
a
band.
band.
When a rock is this big and it goes through the pipe, they put a band 2 foot long around it.
That's
The
it.
band is stainless steel bolts. Eventually, that's gonna go bad.
That's all we're doing is
Patching it.
patching it. That's all
It's
we're
like
doing.
putting a Band-Aid on your arm.
So that's where we are. It's unfortunate that this happened to a system that's only 20 years old. We did apply for the grant, we didn't get the grant because the system is too new. You know, Rotterdam's system is over, what, 150 years old probably, I don't know, and it's still going. You know, they're getting water main breaks, but
The city's got wooden pipes that don't break like ours do. It's
Yeah, we got
ridiculous.
this problem.
Scary's got the same thing. I dug wooden pipes out in Scary, right in the main street in Scary.
And how old were they?
You're talking 150 probably.
They took a hot rod and run it down a pipe and then they tapered it on the end and pushed it in.
But I mean, this is, it's a shame what's going on with this system, but it is what it is and we gotta deal with it, so,
The only good news is the water system does produce revenue. We can get a revenue anticipation line of credit. And I think we probably should talk about that at some point. We don't have to do it right away, but we need to be prepared. We can't wait until we need it. We have to be prepared in advance. And Lou asked me to do a little research, which I did, and I'm sure he'll be moving that along.
well, I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Is there an alternative besides borrowing money? You know, because residents have to pay it back anyway. So is there an alternative, like raising the water rates just a little bit?
We could raise the water rates, we could do that. This is the one advantage of having this as a revenue system. The other option is, and we talked about this, and Lou asked me to look into it, and I haven't connected with the right people yet, but with all this governmental infrastructure money that's supposed to be available, there's a very remote possibility, and I want to say that right up front, very remote possibility that we may be able to get some infrastructure federal funds. We'll inquire, we'll look into it. If anything's available, we'll try to get it. Those are the only two really options that we have. But we have to, if something breaks, we have to fix, we have no choice.
Yeah, because the last thing I want to do is borrow money at 4 to 5% and have the residents pay for the repair plus interest.
Well, you're not alone there, but, you know, we have to, a line of credit would be 0 interest until you use it. So if we don't need it, which hopefully we'll never need it. So if you never need the line of credit, it's there. You don't use it. You only use it if you need it. And you only use the amount that you need. So let's say you have a $50,000, $100,000 LLC, and you're short $9,000. You can borrow $9,000 to make up that gap. So it's probably the most fiscally responsible thing we could do at this stage of the game. I would have liked to have rewrote the bond, but I had a meeting and that's just impossible. It's not, our contract is written in such a way that it's just not possible for another 5 years.
I don't know, should we be looking into this?
Well, I think the first should be the federal funds, right? Because that would just be
Well,
interest-free.
yes, we will look into that, and see, not all the legislation is through the mill yet. but there was some talk about some infrastructure help along the way. It's not done yet. The legislature has not worked on any of that yet, so.
Yeah, they haven't gone through the
No,
phase
so
of this.
the bottom line is, we'll keep our antenna up, that's all we can do.
No.
At this stage, keep our antenna up, keep our ears open, and we will be constantly being alert for if there is anything like that available to us.
But with this coronavirus, you're not gonna get nothing. Tell you right now.
Well, yes and no. You have to understand, this is in the form of stimulus. The infrastructure is a stimulus package, and if a stimulus package goes through that addresses infrastructure, essentially what the feds want to do, and I don't want to belabor the point and lengthen this meeting, but the feds want to create work for Larned, for this, for that, for all these guys that do this kind of work. That is a stimulus package. If that goes through,
Then there's a
there's
possibility.
a chance we can tag it on. So that isn't done yet, but we are keeping our eyes open for that.
We only want to be prepared for the future. You gotta look ahead. You can't be looking back, you gotta look ahead and say, what may happen in the future? And like I said, we got $80,000 left in the fund, according to Isla, and, we're gonna be they're gonna be reading the meters this month, so the revenue is gonna come back in, but at the rate we're going with these breaks, I'm telling you, it's just one right after the other. I can't believe that are happening this quick. 3 in 1 week over on Pangburn Road. We all know what's happening to you. The system wasn't put in right. The GPS systems now for truck routing is routing all of the trucks over Pangburn Road, over 406. They're that heavy weight on them, shaking the ground, and you know what happens, Doug, right? The rocks go in, the frost in the winter, the freezes, and then everything starts heaving, and.
I've never seen more tractor trailers on Pangburn Road.
Well,
And
that's-
every time I pull out, the tractor trailer going by.
Yeah, there is, because that's the way the GPS is routing them now. The truck routing GPS is routing them over Pangburn Road to go to Voorheesville Industrial
I
Park.
go 24/7,
Yeah.
past my house.
Yep, and then that is creating a problem.
Sure it is, it shakes the ground. We got the problem with the rocks around the pipe, and what happens? It just wears into it, so. That's where we stand on that. So, I'm under the impression that maybe we should be looking into this.
I think we should, at the very least, need to get a revenue anticipation line of credit. We don't have to use it. We don't have to use it, and hopefully we'll never use it. But if we have it in place and we have a major issue, we will be able to write a check based on that line of credit. We don't have to have it. We could apply for it in an emergency situation, but to me, good government is government that thinks ahead.
I
So,
agree with that.
So how does that get paid back? So say you have to use $50,000.
it gets paid back it's a revenue anticipation line of credit, so it gets paid back by incoming revenue. We may have to raise water rates. That's a possibility. I mean, what are you gonna do? If we don't have enough revenue to cover our expenses, we'd have to raise water rates. It's a simple formula, really. Now, I buy water from the town, so I would have to pay more. That's the way it works.
So I guess I'm wondering why not do that first? Build up a little bit of money.
We could.
Rather than a line of credit and then lower the rates once you have that extra money.
Well,
Knowing that these things are
because
gonna
we don't know the future. We could have a big problem in 3 months.
happen.
I mean, right,
Don't jinx ourselves.
right. I mean, first of all, you gotta understand, a line of credit costs nothing. We don't commit anything. We don't pay penny number one in interest till we write that check. And if we never write it, which I hope we never have to,
Right.
nothing ventured, nothing gained. Not an issue.
Really, it's just to help us be prepared. For
That's all.
Well, my concern is something big happening. You would have to use the whole line of credit. I don't know what the interest rates are. 3%, 4%, I don't know.
Probably have a little more than that.
So then, like, that's why I was wondering if we should start to build up the money in addition to doing something like that.
When's the last time we raised the water rates?
6, 7 years ago, 8 years, when Melanie was here.
You get what I'm
Whatever
saying,
that
though, you
was,
know what I
was
mean?
before-
Definitely do the line of credit, because like Doug said, it could happen tomorrow.
Listen, I'm not opposed to looking into raising some water rates a little bit, but it's not, that may be a reasonable,
We are higher than Rotterdam. I know they have cheap water.
Also, bigger community, right?
They have, theirs is not, I remember when it was raised here, it was, I know Melanie was the supervisor at the time, you were here too, Doug. That was, oh God,
We're
gotta be
tapped
10
right
years
in.
ago.
We're tapped right in the line.
Yeah, I
All
know.
we gotta do is open the valve.
and when we campaigned, Lou and I campaigned together, and let me tell you, that we got an earful from people crabbing about water rates then. I mean, we had to sit there at one house, we were there for over an hour, and all we did was get lambasted for the water, remember?
You know, I don't blame them, I get it, you know what I mean, I understand that, but on the same token, if we're gonna have all these issues,
Well, we have the issues, that's the
Yeah.
point, we have the issues, so we have to determine how we're gonna address it.
I'd say go both routes, do the line of credit just in case, but then consider, trying to raise the money on the side as well, and having that already, and then lower the rates again once you have enough cash on hand, I don't know.
It's never gonna get cheaper.
Yeah, I know.
Look at it this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I hear you.
You are never gonna have it lower than it is right now. Cause everybody's pay goes up, pipe goes up, equipment goes up, it's gonna go up. It's not gonna go down. You gotta get that in your head.
Yeah.
It's every year, pay raises go up. You hire, whoever you hire to do it, the way it is.
I mean, this has been a catch-up on this water system for the last year now, and it's just, hopefully, we're caught up with as far as the maintenance for the system. And it's just now, the biggest thing now would be the water tower. And they're gonna hold off on that for this year, as long as if they keep it below that, but eventually you're gonna have to get it done. And that's a very expensive item, and plus whatever else goes bad with it along the way. It's the water main breaks that just keep happening and happening and happening over and over.
The
and
bolts
over.
are rotten. I brought you the
Yeah.
bolts. I was there. They're rotten.
What did I do with
They should have used stainless steel bolts, but McDonald Engineering made it with steel bolts.
I don't know what I
And
did
that's
with
the
pictures.
way they bid it. And you can't blame the contractor, because that's what the bid was.
I don't know, he gave us the pictures of the water system, how bad it was on Pangburn, or on Darrell Road.
The pipes, they brought them over to my house, they were rotting right out.
Did I get
They were leaking.
No. No, Sandy gave them to him, they're around someplace, if anybody wants to look at them.
Well, we've got time to sit down and talk to it as a council, and decide what we wanna do. I mean, if we wanna send a letter out to every water user and say, hey, we've had tremendous problems, tremendous water breaks, tremendous expenses, we gotta raise the rates, I mean, we'll get blowback in the beginning a little bit, but what are we gonna do? I mean, we need to address this problem, period.
Well, in my opinion, it's worse to borrow the money, have to fix everything anyway, plus pay all the interest that you have to pay if you have to borrow $100,000 or $200,000, you know what I mean? I'd rather start to get the cash now, and, hopefully-
That all makes sense, but you still need the LOC
Yeah, I agree,
in your pocket, which doesn't cost anything.
until you use it.
Till
Let's
you-
see, let's see what the revenue's gonna come in now from this, when we, in the next month. We'll know exactly how much money's coming in. We'll talk with the water commissioner and see what he's anticipating for the next year. And we'll go based on what we had now. We've gone through the peak with this last thing, repairing that pump house below ground. I mean, we've repaired the generators, they've been all up, put up, and, the maintenance is up to date on them. Everything is running, everything else in the pump house has been done. The big thing is gonna be that expense, and keep doing with the water system as the breaks come in. You know, and they're only gonna keep coming in, and we, in front of Rick Peterson's property there on Route 7, I don't know how many breaks we've had there, 4 or 5 in the last 2 years, and it's always in the
And
same
that's because
spot.
of the power line,
Yeah,
static electricity.
that's what's causing it, I guess, you know, over in that section. But they did get a price to redo that
For Church
section.
Road, where they cross down below it, but their Rotterdam had problems with them too.
I think we should look into that and see what the revenue's gonna be coming in, and before we look at raising the rates anyway. It may have to be a possibility, and look into doing that. You wanna do that, Jim, and see what we can do?
Look into the line of credit?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could talk to the bank and secure that.
yeah.
I mean, it's not that big a deal, but
We can talk to Tom, he's the,
Tom, I would do that. We talk to Tom.
Tom Lavelle
Tom
is
Lavelle.
the vice president over at MBT Bank, and that's who we deal with. So maybe we should talk with him and see if he can direct us.
And he would also tell us what, you know, what our, how much we could even qualify for. I don't know, so, I mean, and we start there, I think.
Sounds good.
All right. That's code enforcement. Number 8. Is there any more questions on that? Anybody got anything else? Building inspector, total permits 4, permits issued 4. Permit inspection fees collected, $947.40, inspections 14, code zoning inspections 1, fire inspection 0, final building inspection 0, certificate of occupancy compliance 0, bank deposit report $947.40, and check to supervisor 0, checkbook balance as of June 9, 2020, $1,095.64, activities and zoning 1, working on complaints as needed, working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspection as needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Marini, building inspector. Okay. Any questions on Tom's report? Town board meeting June 9th, reported from May, submitted $2,784 as of June 2nd. Judge Marks has approved the incorporation of phase 2 of a return to in-person operations for the towns and village courts. This plan commenced on June 5th for the 4th Judicial District. The plan includes return to personnel, small claims matters, civil proceedings, and dangerous dog hearings. In-person foot traffic can be conducted by social distancing and facial coverings worn during the hours of 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Currently, all pending criminal cases for defendants not in custody are granted an administrative adjournment until August 1st, 2020, and there will not be any in-person court appearance until at least phase 3. Tickets have started to climb for the month of June so far. We have 43, July 23rd, and August 15th. Okay, so respectfully submitted, Michelle Van Worth. Yes, we had to open up the town hall for those hours. That's what we agreed upon, that at least 2 hours so people could come in and pay their fines. We were very fortunate. I could not secure any face coverings or sanitizing products, but the county came forward. Our supplier did not have anything available. But the county came for us, gave us enough supplies to have out there, and seen them out by the front door, so. The masks are there, Sandy puts out masks every day if they need them, and the hand sanitizers are there. So, that's the way it is. While we're on that subject, I think that after talking with different counties throughout the state, I know Yates County, a friend of mine's on the board for the county. He told me that most of the towns out in the western part of the state, he travels around to them, attends meetings frequently. He said that they've allowed the town halls to be open for the public to come in during the town board meetings. I've checked with the county. They say that they haven't heard that yet, that we're supposed to be closed, but we have plenty of room in here for social distancing as what prescribed by the governor's office. So, and we only have about 8 people that ever show up for a meeting. And we would have to limit it to it, but maybe the time has come for the next meeting over here that the public should be able to come in and if they want to, and attend the meetings. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I'm thinking that July meeting, we should allow that. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, 10,000 people can walk neck to neck over in Troy without any issue. I suppose if you put 3 or 4 people in here, it's not gonna be the end of the world.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I say, most we've ever had in here recently has been 8 people. We know the names that come to the meetings. I can't see why we would have to limit it now anymore. I'm sure by July, they're gonna open this up anyway. So that's what I'm thinking. So is that agreeable to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we doing anything wrong, Gerard?
No. I'm sure you can arrange it appropriately.
Okay. Everybody's got this report over here on, if you read your mail, on what's going to happen down at across from the pilot. The land has been sold. Leonard and Ivanella sold the land across from the pilot. They sent town of Rotterdam has sent a notice around that they're having a public hearing. They're gonna have what is it called over here? Gas station and convenience store selling fuel. They're gonna have a 2,300 square foot retail space, and they're gonna have a fast food restaurant with a drive-through window. That's across from the pilot. They also, Larner and Ivanella sold the parcel across from the town hall, and the rumor is that this Quality Petroleum Company is going to build apartment houses there. They haven't come to the planning board yet, and if I'm not mistaken, that's not zoned for apartment houses. So that would, if it does come, they would have to require a zone change. But they have not approached us, so that's off into the future. I just wanted everybody to be aware that that's what's coming across from the pilot. We've got nothing to say about that. That's all Rotterdam. They're having their public hearing June 16th. I notified the planning board of it, if they wanted to attend it, or it's a virtual meeting, so they're not open to the public yet. So anybody could log on to it, I guess, or call in a conference call with it and listen to what's going on with it. But I'm sure they're gonna pass it now. I've been attending these meetings for the CDTC since it was formed, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I'm on it along with someone from Rotterdam, and I don't remember his name, and myself, along with the state, to help redesign the intersection. We're gonna be starting next week, and to help alleviate the truck parking that's been going on here. I know in the new highway bill that's coming up, there's a proposal in there for truck parking, to expand truck parking. So we don't know if there's gonna be any monies in that in this fall, but this won't happen this year, it'll probably be next year, but that is in the works. They've done the study, we're gonna be doing a study on it. Unfortunately, they've asked me to be on it to see how we can alleviate the intersection, maybe redesigning it, and maybe getting some more truck parking on the other side, maybe purchasing some more land or whatever. But putting in this, and like I said, Rotterdam, I know is probably gonna okay it. Problem is, it's on this end of town, the traffic doesn't mean anything to them on this end of the town. All the problems are gonna be on the Princetown side with this, what's going in there. So, and anybody can see, you know, that truck stop over there is like a peanut stand for the amount of trucks. Every day they're lined up, both sides of the highway, up and down the road. You know, something's gotta, you know, we gotta do something about it. You know, with the hours of service laws for truckers today, they have to stop and get their rest, 10 hours off duty. I know people don't understand all of the rules with it, I do, but, they have to stop and you can't move the truck once you stop it for 10 hours with these, computers in it now. So, hopefully something can be done with this, but, I know that probably Rotterdam's probably gonna okay this next month, or next June 16th, when they do this. And that's really gonna be a problem there with more traffic with a convenience store and a fast food place and another retail outlet. So, wait and see. Anybody wants to see it, like I said, you all got the paper. If you wanted to, log on to listen to the meeting in Rotterdam, you can. Now, let's see what else we got here. Our dog warden.
Yeah, it's been quiet since last month. Haven't heard anything else about that dog Junior being running loose, so that's good. Just had a missing dog, which they found later the following day, and then a barking dog complaint from Pangburn Road. Other than that, it's been quiet. No word on additional rabies clinics until further notice. And then I have a inspection with Ag and Markets on Thursday, which is a yearly inspection. So that'll take place here at 11 o'clock. It only takes 5-10 minutes. That's it.
So the rabies clinics is off so far?
They're off so far, yeah. So they'll probably, if they reschedule any of them, I don't know how they're gonna jam them all in. If they're gonna try it, or if they're just gonna resume what was normally scheduled. But everything's on hold until it's not, I guess. That's about it. Been quiet. All the dogs.
We have one dog is.
Yeah. He's, when we threatened with having to take him to the shelter and how much it would cost, then I think they finally realized that we've given him enough consideration, so.
Who was it on Pangburn Road?
I can't think of his name now. He's an elderly guy. He's got a trailer next door. And, there's, just, let me see, it's heading toward Gifford's Church on that side of Quackenbush. Just beyond there on the left-hand side.
Past Quackenbush, on the left?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the left side, heading toward Gifford's Church. Elderly guy, he's alone there. He's got some chickens out front.
He's got what?
He's got a couple of chickens he hangs out with.
Is that me?
No, you got a whole lot more chickens than that. He's got just a couple. Got Foghorn, Leghorn, and his little buddy. But he's got a, there's a trailer with a couple of ladies that are there. They have some small dogs.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about now? Yeah, so this is the second time in over a year. So it's because the weather's getting nice and, he's got his window open and then they let the dogs out and they start barking. So I told them they gotta keep it down. You can't let them bark for, 15, 20 minutes. You gotta keep it to a minimum. Oh, other than that, everything's good.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. All right, buildings and ground. Everybody knows about these leaks we have here. Doug Thorpe came over last Saturday with me. He opened up that vent over here. I don't know how he did it. Put a ladder in there, in that opening over there, climbed up in there, and went all the way down that vent on last Saturday to see where that leak was coming. He thought it was coming from a pipe up there when he looked into it, but Saturday, he opened that up and I thought he was gonna fall through there. So he crawled all the way down in there and the roof was leaking. We did patch it this last fall. That side's leaking too, it's leaking in the valleys. We did patch it and it's not leaking now, but there's no sense of repairing that without replacing this roof. And that's gonna be very costly. That doesn't come out of the budget for the water, but we've talked about replacing this roof now for the last, I don't know, 3 years. And we can't have this like this over here. So I told Doug, there's no sense repairing it, and he agrees until we replace the roof and put in real valleys instead of just shingle valleys. Putting in metal valleys with water shield, water and ice tarp up the inside of it. That's the proper way to do it. The last estimate we got was like about $48,000 because of the hip roofs that we have here. But there's no sense repairing this, and then you get snow and ice up on this side, especially on this side of the roof, the north side, northwest corner of this roof. And then you get these leaks in the foyer over here. We had a leak and Sandy was putting the pails underneath it, and that's where it was leaking, Sandy, was where the valleys are up there. We did repair them, the valleys, but that's only a temporary fix, it was a patch job. We really gotta replace the roof. I talked with Isla about it, we have the money to do that in the general fund. I think the time is to do this before we even start repairing it. That side's leaking too, not as bad as this one was. That's where that was coming from. I always thought it was sweating, it's not. It was a leak in there when he crawled up in there. Like I said, I don't know how he did it, but he did. But that's Doug. But anyway, I think I have to go out and get 3 estimates, see what it is. I'll tell whoever it is, put them in a sealed envelope, and we'll open them up at a town board meeting, right?
That price, I think you have to do more than that.
What do we have to do?
I think you have to put it out to a bid.
Yes, that's what I said.
You gotta put it in the paper.
Yeah, no, it's not just going out and get 3. You have to put it out to a public bid.
Gotta go public
Public
bid in the
bid.
paper.
Okay. Can I contact people to come and put a bid in it?
Well, once the bid is out, yeah, you can reach out to people, yeah.
Okay.
But we have to do a resolution at the next meeting, put it out to bid. That's what people want to do.
We need a resolution now then, if we're gonna do it.
We don't have one together now.
If we wait, these contractors are busy, the thing is.
I mean, you have to have the specs drawn up, so everybody's bidding
You
on the
gotta
same
get,
thing.
you're gonna have to get engineering outfit to come in and tell you what to do.
They all have to bid on the same spec, you gotta drop the specs. Somebody's gotta drop the specs.
Doug said he was gonna do it, he's a contractor, so he said he was gonna do
If
it,
he
what
can
we
do it.
wanted. How many years of shingle roof we need.
Yeah.
What we wanted for the valleys, and, so what's the procedure now, then we have to do this?
Well, if you get specs together, you'll approve the specifications and put it out to bid.
So we
It's
have to
just
have
like
that for
the
next
water
meeting.
line, just like the water line. Everybody approved it, but
Yeah.
nobody looked at it.
Well, I'll be here to look at it. I know roofing and contracting too, so they're not gonna get away with whoever gets the job. So we put it out for bid. Well, we gotta do the
Gotta
resolution
be
first for the
advertised
specs.
in the paper.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay somebody to do the specs, normally there'd be a resolution to hire somebody to put the spec together. But if somebody can do it for you without charging, that's fine. Who's gonna put the specs together for you to review?
Well, I was gonna have Doug do it.
If you think he's capable, I don't know.
Yeah, he was. And he said he was gonna do that by this meeting, but he didn't get back to me. So we gotta have a resolution now to put the specs together?
Only if you're gonna
You
charge
gotta
you.
get it,
If he's
you
gonna
gotta
do it for
get
free.
it
No, he's doing
done
it for free.
before you do it.
He's doing it for free, he's not gonna
Yeah,
charge
but
us.
I'm saying you've gotta have it done and then you bring it in for,
That would be at the next meeting.
yes,
So we need a resolution now?
no.
No,
We don't have any specs
He's
now.
doing it for free, so you don't have to hire him.
We're gonna
Okay,
have to
all right.
discuss, but then next meeting, we'll do the resolution to put out the.
But we have to publish the request for,
Yeah, that's at the
RFP.
next meeting.
Yeah,
Is
and
there
that's
any-
gotta have the specs in it.
Is there any chance you'd have to pay to get the specs or no?
No, he's not gonna charge us.
Because you could definitely do it for free, because we could
Yes.
always do a resolution just in case. And if you do have to pay somebody, the money's allocated and you can do it. And then you don't have to wait another month just in case, like Doug gets caught up with something else or just isn't available, right? And then you don't have to spend the money, right? So if he does it for free, like we can allocate some money for it, but if he does it for free, so be it.
How do we know how much money to allocate for it, though?
You know, that's why you gotta get it done ahead of time.
No, I mean, to put money aside if Doug doesn't do it.
They could either authorize you to spend up to X amount of dollars, or if they wanted to, you know, no cap on it, but the resolution would authorize you to execute a contract with someone to prepare specs for a new roof.
Okay,
I don't know what the cost of that would be.
I have no idea either.
I mean, it's likely he'll do it for free and it won't matter, but if you really wanna get moving on this, we might as well have passed a resolution. And then you can, before the next meeting, in the off chance he gets busy and can't, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. So we need a resolution from you.
That would be a resolution authorizing the supervisor to retain a contractor to prepare specifications for a new roof for the town hall building in an amount not to exceed,
But you don't know.
Well, we guessed, let's say $2,000.
No, it wouldn't be that.
Well, you put that up there, and we're not gonna spend it anyway, hopefully.
No, we're not gonna spend it.
Say a thought, but I mean, I got news for you. You hire an engineering firm, it's gonna be $2,000.
Well, you're doing that, I'll guarantee.
No, we don't wanna spend any more money than what we have to. No, because this roof is probably, the last estimate we got was 48,000. You wanna write that up, or you want to?
I didn't know if, it's on the recording, isn't it, Sandy?
What?
What I just said is recorded, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
So you can write that up then, Cindy? Off the recording?
no, you have to do it like it's a resolution, don't you?
well, you can do a verbal resolution just like we did and vote on it. No, but I just said the resolution. If somebody does a motion, you got it first, and if there's a second, you can vote.
Did we didn't tack a
We didn't put any
number.
amount in it.
You know, I would say $2,000, but it's not gonna matter anyway, because hopefully we're not gonna spend a penny, but, I mean, if you wanna do less, but it's a professional, if you hire a professional, you're gonna pay $1,500, $1,800 easy. If Doug does it, we'll get it for free.
It's up to you guys. I don't have a vote, but you guys do.
Unless you wanna just wait a month and see what happens with
Well,
Doug.
the longer we wait, by the time you get somebody in here to do the thing, we're gonna be
Well,
talking
especially
August or
once-
September.
Everything picks up, the contractors are
You
gonna.
know, and things in government, this doesn't work
And
as fast.
I'll make the motion that we vote on this, just as it was, said by our attorney, exactly, that not to exceed a spending of $1,800.
Do we have that, Sandy?
I guess so.
So the motion is to hire, to allocate monies if we have to hire a professional to
Engineering firm.
an engineer, well, it doesn't even have to be an engineering firm, any contractor can do it, but, design specifications to replace a roof in town hall building.
Is that good enough, Victor? Okay.
I mean, they'll probably be fine, but just in case, I mean, if we have to wait till the next
And-
meeting, then allocate the money, then go find somebody, now you're pushing into August, might as well.
And not to exceed, what do you want, you're the boss, what do you wanna say?
I would say 1,800, we're not gonna spend it anyway, so, but
So not to exceed 1,800.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second.
We don't wanna push Sandy.
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. Okay, motion carried. All right, meeting minutes. Is hereby resolved, the meeting, are we going too fast, Sandy?
No?
No? She said no.
No, she said we're good.
Is hereby resolved the meeting minutes of the May 12th, 2020 regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. General funds claims, hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 92 through number 112 in the amount of $15,506.14. Discussion, is there a motion?
I'll make it.
A second?
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. As hereby resolved, the town board approves claims number 55 through number 76 in the amount of $35,769.28. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Sandy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. Highway claims, and hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 6 in the amount of $13,882.33. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. Highway transfer is hereby resolved that the town board approves the transfer of $13,882.33 from account number 99019 to account number 5031. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
And a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Pavolny,
Yes.
Councilman Jacaruso,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes. Any councilman comments or discussion?
I was wondering if you guys thought about that noise ordinance from that guy that was here like 3 months ago.
The noise?
Remember the guy that came in?
Oh, yes, yes,
North, like even further north than me?
yes.
I don't know if you guys thought about it at all, or where you stand on it at this point. I looked at the Rotterdam one, and it's pretty good in my opinion. And they don't really reference decibel levels, except for once. So it seemed decent to me, but I don't know where you guys.
Do you have a copy of the ordinance?
No, but I could bring it next time, the Rotterdam one,
All right,
or I can email it, if you want.
okay.
Is there nothing in our code now?
There's
No.
nothing in Princeton.
Nothing about it.
Yeah.
No, we don't have anything for that. We've never had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big proponent of property rights until it affects, somebody else's property rights.
I
which is
haven't
what
heard
happens
too
with
much
most.
about it anymore. I don't know if they've, I know Tom went up to talk with him. So
Yeah,
maybe he sort of smooths things over because he hasn't made any complaints lately.
yeah, I don't know if he was intending to come back to the meetings and we just,
Haven't had them.
had him, yeah, so.
And he hasn't, I haven't heard anything from him. Usually, once they start with that, they, if they were continuing, they would have been calling, so. I know Tom was gonna go up and talk with him.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he did because they say we haven't heard anything.
yeah. Still think it would be good to look into it.
Okay. Next meeting then. Is there anything else?
I do have 3 short things. Number one, I want to publicly commend the county They always come through for us. We're a small town, we don't have a lot of resources, we made every effort that we can make contacting our vendors to get the safety materials we needed, the hand cleaner, the face pieces, all this, we couldn't get anything, anywhere. And once again, the county is an example of how government should work. They, without hesitation, provided us with plenty of supplies that we couldn't get at any price. They provided at no cost to us. And again, I think that the county really is an example of good government, and how government should work. And I want to publicly commend their actions. And I'll tell you, we could not be more pleased with the way they treat us, and they're to be commended and thanked, and I want to do that publicly. Number two, I have some concerns. We all recall when the solar farm was being proposed. I can still hear them sitting here. This had to be done yesterday. This is critical. Time is of the essence. We got to get this done. Okay, we bent over backwards, did everything that we could, helped them in every way we could. And here it is, almost July, and we don't know what's going on, even if this proposal is moving forward. I'm concerned about that. And we discussed it, I talked to Lou about it, and we discussed possibly reaching out to find out if we can talk to someone and find out where they stand on that. And the reason my concern is so high is very simple. I'm concerned about our revenue situation in the next 18 months. Because some of our revenue comes from sales tax and et cetera, so forth, which was dramatically curtailed during this pandemic situation. So, I mean, I'm looking at every potential source of revenue that we can possibly have. This was one that we kind of counted on, and I don't see any action at all in that area. So I'm hoping that we can follow up and find out what's going on. Hopefully that's still on the drawing board. And the third thing is really just a personal thing. I want to thank Doug. I brought my grandchildren, my granddaughters over to his place, to the farm, and it was delightful, delightful morning with his horses and cows and chickens, and just was great. And Doug, thank you very much. I want to publicly thank you as well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Bring them down, they can pick sweet corn and pick stuff for us.
Oh, they loved it.
loved
They loved it. I'll tell you, they still talk about it. They enjoyed it very much.
The solar farm, I'm kind of wondering out there with the state being 15 billion, is that what the proposal is now? That's what they're claiming, 13 to 15 billion. They were subsidizing all of these solar farms, and
They're going down there too.
I don't think that they're gonna be subsidizing too many of
Well,
them.
I'm concerned about it because honestly, I mean, I was planning on that,
No,
$30,000, you
They
know,
left it
in our
there.
budget. I mean,
The revenue hit's gonna be statewide, so,
I know.
you know, it's gonna be every town is gonna take
Right.
a huge hit.
but, you know, I'm thinking we should reach out to them, and just touch base,
Yeah, I will.
find out where they stand, because, even if it doesn't happen this year, but happens next year, I mean, we could be in some trouble here financially.
Everybody's gonna be in
Yeah,
trouble. It's gonna
and,
be-
we have to think about this.
Is that it, Jim?
That's all I have.
Thank you. They had their hearing on we had, I think, 4 people come in for, wanted their taxes reduced. They held their meeting here this past, last week, and everything went well from what I understand so far. They're just waiting for, they did it, they didn't meet here personally. John gave them all of the materials to look over, and they were all gonna form their own opinion and send it to John as to what they thought if there should be a reduction in their taxes or it should stay the same. So he said that nothing has come back yet from, 2 of them sent it back and are waiting for the other. So I guess it went well, from what I understand. And they were on a conference call and did it that way, so.
Are we allowed to talk about specifics, or we have to go into executive session for that?
No, there was no, actually, it was all the things that we discussed before about it, when we were in executive session. And that was the one guy that you're talking about, really, is, but the other three were, they weren't really too concerned about, they were just questioning some things from what John said. It's the other one that was adamant about lowering his taxes, so.
Do you know what happened with
He doesn't, he didn't get the report back from the other, he's got it from two of them, but he's waiting for one of the other committee members to send his report in, and he doesn't think that it's, he doesn't really know what they're gonna say, but,
yeah.
that's it on that. And I don't have anything else. Doug, you got anything? Nicole?
No.
Jim, anything else?
No, I'm done.
Gerard's been all quiet, his golf game is not too well, so.
That doesn't change.
Oh, there is one other thing. The seniors have been after me. They wanna come in and do their gathering once a month that they have. I don't know how the board feels about it. They usually have 10 to 12 people here. I don't know, Jim, you've been to some of them, I guess. How many people usually show?
Yeah, it's actually usually more than that, actually. It's, anywhere between 12, 18, 20 people.
Is it that many?
It can be. The ones that are here, the ones that are over in the firehouse tend to be much larger because they have, at those meetings, they have speakers. And speakers tend to draw a much larger crowd. So they'll have, 30, 40 people there. Here, anywhere from 12 to 18, usually around 12.
Well, what do you want to do? They asked if they could start having their once a month gathering here. I don't know how anybody feels about it.
The fourth Tuesday this month is the 23rd, which is the presidential primary.
Oh, that's been canceled. Here?
Yeah.
Been canceled. They're gonna have it up in Plotterkill.
Oh, Platterkill only?
Yes,
Oh.
they're only doing it in
Oh,
Plotterkill.
I didn't know that.
They wanted to have their primary here. It was only for the Democrat nomination was what it was for. They wanted it here. I called up the election board and told them over here that we did not have any supplies to clean the town hall at that time until the county came through. I says, and if somebody comes in and this COVID thing starts and, this tracing that the government's gonna do, and we didn't wanna be involved in that and then have to disinfect this whole building because somebody was in here, and we didn't have the money for that, and I told them that. I said, if you wanna clean the building after and do all of that, but then if somebody came down with it, everybody's supposed to be quarantined, this was a couple of months ago or a month ago, and I said, unless you're gonna guarantee that you're gonna clean the building and disinfect it, and they never got back to me, and they called me the other day, and I said, well, we got our cleaning supplies now, if you wanna use it, and they said, no, we're only gonna use Plotterkill now, we're gonna combine the both. I said, oh, that's fine. So,
So if you let the seniors in, I think it's the same thing. If one of them at some point tests positive,
that's the
you
problem.
have to clean the whole place,
That's the problem, so I don't know what everybody feels about it, but
And quarantine the staff and everybody.
it's
Yeah,
up to
the liability issue versus the, being a nice guy about it, honestly, I think we have to, unfortunately, I think we have to go with the liability concern. I think maybe we should wait until we get more guidance on phase 3 of opening, and at that point, I think we could feel more comfortable doing it, to be honest with you. We're only in phase 2 at this point. I don't know.
yeah, I'd hold off.
I think we do have to wait till we get phase 3 clearance, and at that point, we're fine. And I just don't want any more, we've got enough issues and problems financially on the horizon here. We don't need to invite.
I said I would bring it up to the town board, so.
And I feel bad because I'm a member of that organization. And so I should really technically be advocating for them, and I do advocate for them. But, I also have to advocate for the larger town taxpayer, and that's my concern. Because every taxpayer will have to pay for an issue. So I think in the interest of safety, we should probably wait until we get to phase 3,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Well, they're also a vulnerable group, I mean, if one
Exactly,
runs, you
sure,
get sick.
sure they are.
Yeah.
All right.
So for a lot of reasons.
Is that good?
That's good.
Doug? Okay, that's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Let it make it, no? Second, and if Doug made it, I'll second it.
Any,
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming.